have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect. Hey! How are you doing, everybody? I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. You know what, people? It really is time to rumble. So, I want to thank everybody that has gone over and signed up at Rumble. Rumble takes a ridiculous amount of smarts that, as you know, I don't have. But Mark Wages is going to step in and help me out, and I'm sure that Heather can help as well. It is a very, very complicated system. I was going to go live on both today. There is a loop that you have to film so that instead of you seeing a thumbnail like you do on the big red button, instead of there being a thumbnail, there's a loop. Gives you like a 60-second, hey, this is Tommy, and here's what we're going to be talking about kind of thing. Ultra MAGA, good to see you, bud. So it's going to be a little bit different, and I'm excited as hell about it, and I'll tell you why. I can say beast from the east without saying beast from the east. You want to hear something crazy, people? Because this is literally crazy. I got a phone call from somebody at Rumble. I'll say that again. I got a phone call from somebody at Rumble. If you know anything about the big red button, you can go the rest of your time on this planet and not hear from anybody there. I'm glad to hear things are good, Johnny Scoville. That Johnny Scoville knows his stuff. Johnny says, I have one of the VP's numbers also. It is impressive that you can get people on the phone over there. We're going to be able to talk about some things over there that I simply cannot talk about here without getting shut down. In fact, the video that I did yesterday, which you guys shared because we're closing in on 200 views on that, and considering what I talked about, 200 views is massive. But when I went there today to check, instead of having the monetize symbol, it just had an exclamation point. No warning, no nothing, but just an exclamation point. And it just goes to show you that if you try to talk truth, and nothing I said yesterday was untoward. Nothing that I said yesterday was untoward. Yet here we are. By the way, Miss V has a new name, and I absolutely love it. It is Phase of the Moon by Miss V, and I love it. That is going to be her new handle both here and on Rumble as well. Mitch Watson, good to see you, Mitch. Love it when you're here. Noise Opera, good to see you. So let's get into it. Before I get rolling, let's get through some business that sucks. But this is part of what we do here, and heavy is the head that wears the captain's hat, or used to. People, I don't do the he said stuff. Honestly, I like to rise above all that. I don't put out people's names. If we run into trouble, and we do, it's a constant. Whether you realize it or not, it is a constant. And I do what I can to just move on. That's going to be a little bit more difficult because the parties involved have decided to put out some Sarah, good to see you, have decided to put out some really unusual information, one of which is I have decided to threaten them with legal action. I assure you people, I don't have a lot of lawyers on staff. The only lawyer I ever had on staff divorced me a long time ago. There was never any mention of that. I'm not going to get into all of it. I'm not. What I'm going to tell you is this. There are times I'm going to make decisions on this boat for the sake of the boat. I want everybody to have an opportunity to get sober, and I want this to be the platform for those people to do it. However, first and foremost, my responsibility is to the people that have put their trust in the lifeboat. And that is always going to be the default setting. That is going to be the direction I go. And as Forrest Gump would say, that's all I got to say about that. So we're going to be doing some stuff on Rumble. It's not going to just be me broadcasting on both platforms at the same time. Although I most assuredly will be broadcasting on both platforms at the same time. And it is something that can be done. Did a little research today. And I am able to broadcast from from what is it called? Streamlabs, whatever it's called. The Duck. The Duck will allow me to broadcast to both platforms at the same time, which is awesome. It's going to be good. It's going to get our brand out a little bit further. We're going to help more people. But I'm also going to be doing videos over there. If you are adverse to hearing me rant about politics, it may not be the place you want to go, because I am going to be able to talk about things and use names like, the sea company, country, the beast from the east. I'm going to be able to talk about some things that quite simply I could not talk about here and feel safe. So there will be some videos over there as well. However, I wanted to talk today about some stuff that has come up that is just absolutely phenomenal to me. And it needs to be discussed. Whether you like our president or not, Monk, I'm on a Monk. Good to see you, bud. Whether you like our president or not, and I'm not a fan, I've made that pretty clear. Whether you like him or not, he is the leader of this country. And we are forced to deal with the leader of the country south of the border. That's just the way it goes. And that president said some really unusual things. Number one, he threatened us. And this is a very odd threat. You'll like this. He said that because there have been some people from the right, the Republican Party, who have said they believe that maybe we need to send some troops in to Mexico. He came out and his threat was this: I will contact everybody who is in the United States, which, by the way, is 12% of the Mexican population lives in this country. We run that one by you one more time. And these are old figures, about a year old. But 12% of all Mexicans live in this country. So he's going to make a call out to all of those people to tell them, don't ever vote for the Republican Party, because they have been talking about sending troops into our country. And why would we even talk about something like that? Well, quite simply put, we're under attack. And if you don't see that, with all due respect, you should hit yourself in the head with a tack hammer, because you're an ignoramus. We are being attacked, and we're being attacked by chemical warfare. The other thing he said that is absolutely mind-bending is that fent, it's not coming from Mexico. You can go look at what he said. It's on YouTube. He said, none of that's coming from our country. The problem with fent is in your country because there was a demand for it, but it's not coming from here. I'm curious to know how he could justify the 356 million doses of pills that have been seized at that border. I mean, what is it? Is it coming from Canada and being seized at the Mexican border? Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, does it? Obviously, it's coming in from Mexico, where it is being manufactured or it is being shipped in. Either way, Hummingbird's pretty much got that summed up. BS. But here's the crazy thing. That 356 million pills, right? Enough to kill everybody in America. If that was seized at the Mexican border, that would be enough to make you do this one here. Right? You got to be kidding. But that's not what happened. No. That was seized in Texas. Just at the southern border in Texas. 356 million pills. Now, they like to say that the problem is in our country. The fact that the demand is here is the reason that the supply is feeding that demand. And you know what? That's a very difficult thing to argue. When you have that many people that want to buy something, there are going to be people who provide it. But for that ignoramus to say that it is not coming from his country, I honestly don't know how the hell you can come up with that. But let's take this to the next level and be really honest. It's not a country anymore. It's not. It's a narco. It's no longer a sovereign nation. It is a narco nation. That country is being run by narco terrorists. That may not be a popular thing to say, but it is a damn straight fact. Let me, hey, Zenwen, good to see you, hon. I hope you got some sleep. Let me point out some things that some of you may not know. If you are a police officer in Tijuana, you make roughly between $380 and $450 a month, depending on how long you have been in their service. $380 to $450. Do you think that that's ripe for corruption? When someone pulls you over, and I have been pulled over in Tijuana, I've told the story before. I got into a fist fight in a bar in Tijuana, and I got arrested and put in the back of a Tijuana police car. And it drove around in circles. I kept seeing the same things go by again and again and again. And I thought, the hell are we doing? Because we're certainly not getting anywhere near a police station or a, or a jail. And I said to one of the guys next to me, who was Mexican, I said, where the hell are we going? Have we been driving in circles? He said, he's waiting for you to tell him to take you to an ATM machine so that you can pay him off. So I said, hey, can you take me to an ATM machine? 30 seconds later, the police car pulled over at an ATM machine where I was removed from the back seat and my handcuffs were taken off so that I could put an ATM card in a machine and remove cash. I took out 3 $100 bills, which I handed to the police, and then I was cut loose on the street. I finally caught back up with my friends, one of whom at the time was living in Tijuana, and I said, boy, you know what? I scored. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, I was going to jail. I was in the back of a police car, man. And I was able to talk him into bringing me to an ATM machine. He said, how much did you give him? I said, $300. He said, 60 would have done it. You got to understand, the corruption in that country is rampant in a way that you cannot believe. I love this boat too, John. I really do. And everybody on it. Everybody on it. It's the reason that I will do everything within my power to protect the people on this boat, no matter what that entails. If it makes me sick to my stomach, if it makes me uncomfortable with the things that I do, I am going to protect the people on this boat. That's the way it is. I love this boat. This is a mission for me, people. It is an absolute mission for me. And it's one that I continue to take very, very seriously. Let me see if I can blow this up a little. Man, I love a touch screen. Boy, does that make me feel like I know what I'm doing. And I don't, but just as rampant in this country. Absolutely right, Johnny. It is just as rampant in this country. Things are so strange lately here and at work. Do you mean here by the lifeboat or cemetery? Because I'm not sure what you mean by that. Jimmy Pickles, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Sarah. Yes, look, is our country corrupt? It is, but it requires a hell of a lot more money to be corrupt in our country. We also have a press that, although they are left-leaning like you read about, still have the opportunity to pull the plug and let people know when bad things are happening. By the way, yesterday I missed thanking Kat for for putting up some money. I got on a roll and I missed some people, and I hate when I do that. Honestly, it makes me feel awful. It really does. So I want to thank everybody yesterday who took the time to donate. That money gets disseminated out from people who need it. I got a beautiful email today. I won't say from who, but there's somebody on this boat that I am really beginning to care about deeply. And this individual is in the life. And when I say in the life, I mean they're doing fent. And we're in a position to try to get this person off of fent through the use of medical assisted treatment. And that's the dream of what we do here, people. There's a lot of people who don't agree with medical assisted treatment. And you know what? I understand that. I respect your opinion. I really do. And I respect you voicing your opinion. And if you do it in a way that is respectful, then let it fly. Again, I have no issue with that. However, if that opinion is based on if it's harsh and it makes somebody want to not try this, then it's scary. Yes, the people at work just show some of the people, maybe I just need some rest. I got time off next week. Good for you. A little time off is always a beautiful thing. Mitchell, there's a small money icon in the area. You type in and click on that. Yeah, and that gives you some options. Yes, it is. Yeah, I hope they get off it too, Daniel. I really do. I really do. Do what works, says Sarah. And you know what? Works for a lot of people. Does it work for everybody? No. Nothing in drug rehab works for everybody. Sadly, that is a fact. But we're going to fight this thing at every single way that we can. Love this captain, love this crew, love this boat. Heather, we love you. And we're blessed right now that you are here. I really mean that. I do. I mean that. So we need to start taking a look at some of the things that are being said and some of the things that are being allowed to be said. We have a government south of the border, a narco-terrorist government that is threatening the U.S., threatening us. They say, boy, you bring some troops down here and you just wait to see what happens. What option do we have? What option do we have? They are pumping poison into this country that are killing Americans every single day. And I'll be honest with you. If it was killing 5 people a day, that's too much. If it was killing 100 people a day, that would be tragic. 300 people a day, hard to wrap your brain around. But if that number gets to 400 or 500, and they're admitting, you do a little research on this, do yourself a deep dive and watch how many people say that it's going to get twice as bad. Twice as bad, people, is going to be 600, maybe 700 people a day dying. How can a society sustain that? How? And they're not dying because they're stupid enough to go, hey, you know what I want? Get me some fent. I'm going to snort that stuff and see what happens. You know, that's not it. That's not it. What's happening instead is people are doing drugs that they do not know that they are doing. Hey, Wages World, thank you, man. I know you're busy, and I really do appreciate any single time that you can pop in here. Mark does a tremendous amount of work behind the scenes, people. He really does. Mark has never left the boat. Someone said yesterday, you know, it's great to see Blue Kool-Aid back. Blue Kool-Aid never left. Don't think for a second that because he's not on the other side of the glass that he's not a part of this, because he most certainly is. Mitchell, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I really do. It's going to a good cause. Cultivate Kindness says, love you, Wages. You know what? I think we all do. Joanna, you're a beautiful woman. Thank you. I've only fallen once. Some days I have the house without my cane, not too bright. You know what? T. Prada, please be careful. Please. Scott, I'm glad that you're here, man. I really am. You know what, Mitch? Don't ever say anything like that. People, take a lesson from that. Mitch said, nailed it. Sorry, I wish it could be more, but you know, SHI, you know what is tough right now. You know what? It's tough for everybody on the planet. And if what you're putting up is 99 cents, it has nothing to do with the dollar amount. Do you understand that? Please let me make that perfectly clear. It has zero to do with the dollar amount. It has to do with the fact that you people want to help. We're never going to judge anybody based on how much money people put up. That's silly, and I don't ever want that to be something that anyone thinks. Johnny says, by the way, last night's show was epic. I believe it was. I'll be honest with you. I'm proud as hell of last night's show. And you know what, people? It's going to evolve. There are going to be some stuff drawn up. We are going to sign some petitions. We're going to do everything within our power to get politicians to realize that they work for us. That's going to happen. It is. And it is going to be a very big part of what we do here on the boat. The boat is going to evolve, and we are going to, we're going to take this fight to the people that need to hear about it. Because I'll be damned if I'm going to let a politician know that 3/4 of the country want change, but I'm too smart to vote for that. And do you know why? Because I went to Yale and I'm a member of the Skull and Bones, or I went to Harvard and I'm smarter than everybody else. That's not why we elect people. We elect people because in this republic, the way it's set up, their job is to do what we ask them to do. And I beat this home last night. I really did. And I think that it's essential that we realize that these people work for us. And you know what? I promise you, we can make them work for us. If we start stomping our feet, one of the things that you're going to see blow up the lifeboat is when we roll out that electronic signature to please sign this petition for the decriminalization of drugs. That is going to be something that brings in people that do not care about the lifeboat, that do not care about me or you or anybody else, or getting sober for that matter. But just realize that we're hemorrhaging money that we don't have. Hemorrhaging money for a war that we can't win. Hummingbird 8700, thank you for the email. I have been going through it, and I am wide open to anything that can help. And I'll tell you something, people, the Navage, clearing out all of the stuff that I've got going on back here has really, really been helping. Miss V will be called the crazy lady. Not on my watch. If anyone's going to call Miss V crazy, it's going to be me. No one else. Hello, everyone. Such a welcoming place here. Love you all. John Black, we're glad you're here. And I'm proud to say that this is a welcoming place. And you know what? It's not me. This is done by the people here. And they are an amazing group. Life of Dennis Brace, glad you're here. You know, the truth is that we're in a war. And sadly, the vast majority of this country doesn't seem to realize that we're in a war. And the optics, right, the zeitgeist going on in our country right now is taking away from what is really important. The Democratic Party, sorry, people, there's no getting around politics on this. The Democratic Party has said, we're not going to show up to discuss what's going on at the border. We say that again. In fact, I might say it 2 more times. They said, we're not even going to show up to talk about what's going on at the border. Tell you what, you're an intelligent group of people, and some of you lean left. Can somebody please make me understand how in hell that is a good idea? How do you justify saying the number one cause of death in this country is coming through that southern border, but we're not going to show up and talk about it because we don't want to give a win to the Republicans? Guess what? Republican, Democrat, independent, jerk, whatever, means nothing. I am a one-issue voter. That's it. One issue. What are you going to do about the biggest crisis facing this country? Let me explain something to you that I'm sure most of you understand. It is so easy to say, well, we're losing 400 to 500 people a day, and that's tragic. You know, it is what it is. These people are drug users, and it's sad we're losing them. What about the ones we're not losing? What about the kids who aren't going to go to college because they're getting wasted? What about the people that aren't getting to work because they're wasted? Do you know how many able-bodied people in this country are not going to work because drugs are the most important part of their life? There was a time, my brother can tell you, there was a time where I was working at a telemarketing room, and I'm not bragging, people. I'm just telling you how things were. It was easy to make $6,000 to $10,000 a week at the job we had. But I would disappear for 4 or 5 hours a day because I had to go pick up dope. And we got to a point where we paid dope dealers to show up at the office to deliver me my stuff. But until they did, people would come in and say, hey, I got a phone call I need you to get on. No, I can't. Call them back and tell them it needs to be rescheduled because I was in there doing this one. And I was there. I was trying to work. What percentage of this country isn't working because of the drugs? Our military has never, ever had lower numbers than they're having right now. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Well, I would be willing to say that a great deal of it is because TikTok has poisoned the minds of 16, 17, and 18-year-olds so that by the time they get to the point where it is time to enroll, they think they're enrolling in a country that is oppressive, that is evil, and that isn't communist. They believe that communism is the way to go. And for that reason, they're not enrolling in our military. And those people, hey, Leslie, servant of God, man, I'm glad you're here. And for those people that actually want to show up and say, I would like to join the military, how many of them can pass a drug test? I'm not doing anything heavy, sir. I have a prescription for Adderall. That's all I'm doing. Of course, I eat my 30 Adderall by the 15th of the month. And then I go buy some Adderall on the street. Well, sadly, the Adderall on the street isn't going to pass the drug test because it's filled with fent. And that's the way it is. For an addict like me, drugs were always as important as drinking water or breathing. Without them, I had that impending doom feeling. I hated that feeling. Ultra MAGA, it is a beautiful, beautiful way to articulate what it is to be a drug addict, to feel so uncomfortable in your own skin. Leslie says, hi, Joanna, I miss you. We miss you too, bud. We really do. I enjoy the emails that I get from you, but I know that the crew likes to see you here. M. Hunt says, because our military is slowly becoming a woke joke. Absolutely. And do you think woke is an accident, people? Honestly, do you think woke is an accident? Woke is the most unbelievably intelligent campaign by the beast from the East to destroy our country. You understand, they didn't just dump it out. They didn't just say, I got an idea. A guy should be able to compete as a woman, on a swim team. A guy should be able to use a woman's locker room and walk around with his genitalia hanging out because he identifies as a woman. It didn't start like that. The woke agenda started this big. You see, at first, it was hard to argue with the woke agenda. We don't treat the races the way they ought to be treated. Blacks in this country have not gotten a fair shake from the word go, and that's hard to argue with. However, they took it further than that, didn't they? What they did instead is they made us hate one another. That was the goal. And now the woke agenda has gotten to the point where it is so bizarre. Go online and do a deep dive and watch people who show up at school board meetings, and they will take out a book and they'll say, I found this in the library and I'd like to read it to you. And as they read the book, you hear about boys talking about giving each other oral sex. Do you think that ought to be in our library? No. But if you say it shouldn't, you're a bigot. You're a homophobe. You hate the LGBTQ LMNOP crowd. They keep pushing the envelope and they keep pushing the envelope. And people sit around and go, I don't understand how it keeps getting worse. Let me tell you how it keeps getting worse. It keeps getting worse because of this puppy right here. Now, when you buy one of these, it comes loaded with TikTok already in it. So if you go, hey, I'll check it out, and you sign it, you're handing over your phone in every single thing on it to TikTok. You think I'm exaggerating? Read the damn terms of service. If you start tonight reading the terms of service, by the time we are live tomorrow night, you might be done with it. But I'll paraphrase. Everything in that phone is ours, even if it's not turned on. You're giving us the opportunity to do whatever we want with your phone. This is a 5-pronged approach to destroy this country. And you know what we're doing? We're allowing it. We are happily allowing it. And it is absolutely frightening. It really is. And my brother believes that Biden is getting his marching orders from Xi Jinping. And there are people who would say, Johnny, what a stupid thing to say. How is it that the president of the United States would be getting his marching orders from a foreign entity? How does that make sense? I don't know. Let me ask you a couple questions. Why is it that when gas is $25,000 a gallon, we crack open our strategic reserves, which are there for one reason? Well, two. One, in case we go to war, we need enough fuel to actually fight that conflict. The other reason is if gasoline gets too expensive or diesel gets too expensive, then everything becomes expensive. Hopefully this makes sense to all of you. You grow an egg, right? You have a chicken that lays an egg. Is it a chicken or a rooster? Somebody lays an egg. That egg has to get where it's going. So you put it on a truck, and that truck is paying $7 a gallon for diesel. What do? They pass that savings on, that bill on to everybody else. So by the time you get a dozen eggs, they're $9. You understand this happens to virtually every single product. This is a built-in tax, whether you realize it or not. I spoke to someone today that said, you know what? This year I made $4,000 more than I made last year. This is somebody that sells watches. It's a person that does what I do. And they make a good money. They're not, I'm a little fish. I can pay the bills. This guy's getting wealthy. But he made $4,000 more than he made the previous year. That's not great, but it's livable, right? But he's paying $16,000 more in taxes. If any of you have ever gone to school, there are certain things that are absolutely considered law when it comes to economics. Here's one. If you're in a recession, the number one rule is don't raise taxes. What are we doing? We're raising taxes. And why am I talking about this? Does this sound like politics? Because it's the politics of drugs. You understand? All of this is the politics of drugs. And you say, Tommy, that doesn't make any sense. Of course it does. Because if you're sitting and wondering why a friggin' egg is going to cost you $1.50 a piece, then you're probably not paying attention to the number of people that are coming across the border carrying whatever they want. 2.5 million people crossed this border illegally last year and melted into our society. There are 48 contiguous states. You understand what I mean by that? It means that you can drive to every one of them. They're part of the mainland United States. There are 48 of them. If you take 2 million people and you ship them to 48 states, how many of those have a friend that might want to mail them some dope? How many of them see an opportunity to get wealthy? You understand that they come here, they sell the dope, they get the money, and what happens to that money? It goes back to Mexico. You think Mexico is unhappy with this drug trade? You think that the people running that country are unhappy? We are their economy. People snorting fentanyl, eating fentanyl, smoking fentanyl, taking it in every pill under the sun. That is their economy. That's their economy. You think they want it to stop? No. And I got news for you, people. If you don't believe that our armed forces are going to go into that country, then you don't see the writing on the wall. It's going to happen. And then what? Because I got news for you. I have done time with the gangs from down south. I've done a lot of time with them. And those individuals answer to the cartels. They may live on this side of the border, but they answer to the cartels. If you're dumb enough to believe that the beast from the east is not planning on attacking this country, we giggle. Weather balloons. They put some weather balloons up there. What's the big deal? So we had to shoot down some of them, It's no big deal. Why do you think those balloons were coming over the United States? Huh? I got news for you. They were coming over the United States for one reason and one reason only. In preparation for bad things that are going to happen to this country. Those balloons run at about 60,000 feet above the earth, above sea level. 60,000 feet. If you've ever jumped out of an airplane, then you've got a real appreciation for what 60,000 feet is. Because the most you can jump out of an airplane is about 18,000. 13,000 feet, the air is getting thin. 18,000 is possible. It's not done often. I did it once in Beeville, Texas, because we were at sea level. I jumped at 18,000 feet. And I've told the story on here. I think it was about 60 miles away. The wind was quite strong. But at 60,000 feet above the planet, do a little research. If those 3 school buses that they were carrying underneath that hot air balloon, if they carried an electromagnetic pulse, if you don't know what that is, see, when an atomic weapon goes off, when a nuclear bomb goes off, forget the explosion that's going to kill people, forget the irradiation, forget all of that. See, it emits an electromagnetic pulse. And this thing is dead. This camera is dead. The laptop it's hooked up to is dead. This thing, dead. See, if it's got a computer chip in it, an electromagnetic pulse turns it off. What in this country doesn't have a computer chip in it? That thing I shove up my nose, right? My Navage probably has a computer chip in it. Everything does. So if that thing floating over the United States for what, 4 days? If it had an EMP in it and they touched it off, we're in the dark ages. You know what this thing is? It's a hammer. You can hit things with it. It will never run again. Sounds like paranoia, doesn't it? Why the hell was the balloon there? And why did the jackwagon in the office allow it to go from Canada, right, the Aleutians, to come all the way down, to go across the United States? Oh, yeah, he said, I took the initiative to shut it down. As soon as it was over water and no longer taking pictures of the U.S. Do you think that there was a roll of Kodak film inside that? Seriously, are you dumb enough to believe there was a roll of Kodak film in that thing? Because I got news for you. That's not how it worked. See, what was going on in there was they were taking images and they were sending it back to the beast from the east. So the fact that we shot it down, who friggin' cares? It needed to be shot down before it took all of those photos. And it makes you wonder, why would a president allow this to go across the entire country? And some of you are going to reach out to me and say, come on, you and your brother are insane. How is it he can be compromised enough? I don't know. Let me give you an example. You all know my son. His name is Spanx Calhoun. He is sober 3 weeks today. God bless him. Proud as hell of him. But he's been sober for 3 weeks. Let's just say I gave him a job. And I said, Spanky, you're going to be working for the lifeboat. And I'm going to send you to Canada. And you're going to spend 6 months up there. And while he was up there, he did blow, right? He had sex with hookers. He did all of these things. And all of it was filmed. They got dirt on my kid you wouldn't believe. And then they call me up and they go, you know what, Tommy? You're not going to talk about this, or this anymore on the lifeboat. I'll be really honest with you, people. I'd like to believe that I'm above the fray. I'd like to believe that this means more to me than anything in the world. But you know what? If it was my kid, I don't know. I don't. And I don't know if any of you know. What would you do? Would you say, you know what? Throw my kid under the bus. You got pictures of him with 17-year-old girls. Go ahead and post them. Because I believe so strongly in what I'm doing. Well, I got news for you. Every day we find out more information about how this family, and I don't mean Hunter and his dad, I'm talking about the family, the brother, the uncle, all of them were making a stink load of money from really odd countries. If you look at the countries involved, one of them is at war, right? One is UK. One is the beast from the east. And the other is Putin. Does that scare the hell out of you? If it doesn't, maybe you're still getting high. Why am I talking about this stuff? Why does this, Tommy, what does this have to do with drugs? What it has to do with is distraction. They're distracting us from poison, killing people every day. And I'll tell you something, it sounds so cold-hearted to say, but the ones dying are the lucky ones. They're the lucky ones. They're the ones who aren't doing trank dope and having their legs cut off or their arms amputated. Heather Joy and I were talking today about what trank dope does to people. These sores that won't heal. These sores that literally are eating away at people, destroying their bodies. Literally destroying their bodies. So backing up, we crack into the strategic fuel patrols, right? The reserves that we have for fuel. And what do we do with them? We sell hundreds of millions of barrels of it to the beast from the east, who has made no bones whatsoever that they don't want the petrodollar of the United States of America to be the lead currency of the world anymore. What are they doing? They're meeting with Saudi Arabia so that Saudi Arabia and Iran can become friends again. Who's brokering the deal? Xi. See, that's the kind of crap we used to do. The president of the United States used to broker deals. Now he eats ice cream. Sorry, it's the truth. And do I hate him because he's a Democrat? I hate him because he's a decrepit fool who doesn't seem to be doing anything to protect our country from drugs destroying our kids. Yeah, that's right. That's right. These are distractions, people. They're distractions. And there are so many distractions. And I'm not busting on anybody that enjoys anything. I really am not. It's your right as a human being to take pleasure in whatever makes you happy. But do you realize that during football season, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world? The vast majority of people in this country aren't looking at anything but the sports page. Basketball season, same thing. Baseball season, same thing. Yeah. NASCAR, whatever these people are into, these distractions are keeping us from looking at the number one problem in this country. If you don't believe the number one in this problem in this country is the fact that we are under attack, then you're not paying attention. Because we are 100% right now under attack. Make no mistake. And my brother says, you know what? Anonymous needs to get the dirt on Biden's kid. You don't think we got the dirt on Biden's kid? You don't think we got the dirt on him? Hell, we had the dirt on him before the last election. And what happened? They went, that's Russian disinformation. I realize there's a picture of him naked sitting on the couch next to his 13-year-old cousin or niece, smoking crack. That's not him. That's Russian disinformation. And they buried that long enough to swing an election. And you know what? I don't care whether or not you think Trump should have been president. That means nothing to me. It really doesn't. I don't care if you think Biden should have been president. It means nothing to me. But you realize that 75% of the country said that if they had known that, it might have changed how they voted. Not 5 people, not 10 people or 10%. 3/4 of the electorate said, I would have liked to have known that before it was come time to vote. But the press is now the fifth estate, works for one political party. And if you don't believe that, get your head out of the sand. This is the politics of drugs. This is the politics of drugs. This is everything they can do to eliminate us talking about this. And if fent wasn't strong enough, nitazines are on the way. If nits weren't strong enough, we're going to mix it with xylazine, a tranquilizer built for a friggin' horse or cattle. This is a benzodiazepine put into an animal that weighs 6,000 pounds. I have an idea. Let's mix it with an opiate and give it to people in Kensington Street. Tonight, people, do a deep dive. Spend 6 minutes watching Kensington. Because if you think it's going to stay there, if you think that Kensington is the only part of this country that is going to end up like that, then you're not paying attention. Because it's already happening in Seattle. It's already happening in Houston's 5th Ward. It's already happening in Ohio. It's happening all over the U.S. Again, I did a show the other day on Kratom. It's just an herbal stuff. You know what I mean? It gives people the wobbles, but nobody's getting seriously messed up on it. What's the big deal, right? This is just one more way for people to try to treat themselves so that they don't have to take really hard opiates. And wouldn't it be better if they weren't taking really hard opiates? I don't know. And I'll tell you why. I'm not a fan of opiates. You know how I feel about them. But see, here's the deal. Those opiates are regulated. The Food and Drug Administration determines how much you can put into each pill. Who's regulating this other crap? Nobody. So how is it that the DEA said this stuff needs to be looked at? It's dangerous and it shouldn't be sold legally in the United States. Then somebody went to them and said, shut up. Shut up. Do a little research on the DEA and get a look at how many times they listed something as a dangerous substance to only turn around and go, I'm just kidding. Sell it at gas stations, sell it at head shops, sell it online, 70 pounds at a time. You realize if you want to buy a metric ton of it, they'll send it to your house. There is no limit to the amount of it you can buy. Do you find that odd? I do. I do. What mind-altering substance out there that does not have a limit to how much of it you're allowed to purchase? Name one. You can't buy nicotine in unlimited quantities. But they said, go ahead and let people have this. And when you talk to the people in the top, they'll say, oh, we did this just to protect people that really needed to get off of opiates. Really? That's what you were doing? Same with Zaza Red, right? And all of those other substances that require prescriptions in every other civilized country on the planet. Not here. And I could keep doing this for 4 hours. Two countries on planet Earth allow us to run drug ads. Got restless leg syndrome? Go ahead and get you some of this. You got this? Go ahead and get you some of that, right? Drugs are stealing our youth. Drugs are stealing our youth. Boy, are you right. Boy, are you right. And they're destroying our youth. Do you want to hear something incredible? Do you remember turning 16 and wanting your driver's license? Do you realize that the average teenager in America today waits 2 years to get their driver's license? 2 years. They have no desire to go get in a car. Why? Why would they? See, in the old days, we went and saw friends. Now you see your friends here. And you decide you want to be them. See, now these things tell you what's cool, who you're going to be. And the music they listen to write songs about things like scissor up, right? Get you some promethazine cough syrup and mix it with a little bit of Sprite. Start listening to the rap music and listen to how they talk about getting down with the perk 30s. You know, all songs used to sing about drugs, burning a little weed, Lucy in the sky with diamonds, right? There was all this alliteration where they started to talk about, different drugs out there. Now we are getting to a point where we are very close to being beyond the point of no return. So I personally am making this my war on drugs. I'm not being overly dramatic. I'm not farting around. I'm as serious as cancer. This is going to be my war on drugs. I am going to go and I'm going to talk to people. I am going to get in the faces of politicians. I am going to get people to sign petitions to talk about why it is the government doesn't do what we want them to do. Check out Tom McDonald. He makes fun of those rappers. Tom McDonald, if you don't know who he is, Tom McDonald is a genius. There, I'll say that. Tom McDonald is a genius. Listen to the words. Sometimes it's easy to look at a package and judge it, a book by its cover. He's slung back. He's got tattoos on his face. Get by all that. Shut your eyes and listen to the things he's rapping about. For real. And they're doing everything within their power to bury him. To bury him. It's not working. He's really gaining a lot of traction, and I am very impressed with what he is doing. Most kids do not believe they could ever afford a car on a minimum wage. They could not even afford a home. It's hopelessness. I agree with that to an extent, but most of them don't want jobs in the first place. Most of them don't. And sadly, that's where we're at. Yeah. I'm laughing at M. Hunt. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yes, he is my fave. I'm not upset, CK. I understand completely why people dig him. I really do. It's all drugs and sex with any and everybody, not to mention killing people. Sure, that's what they talk about. That's what they talk about. He's dropping a new song tomorrow morning. Monk, 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 monk. I will be checking that out. I promise you, because I really do enjoy what the guy does. I think he is very, very talented. I get into lyrics and the passion behind the song so much more than the background of handicapped kids at a day camp. It was so rewarding. I loved it. Oops, sorry. I mixed a couple of. One of my first jobs was taking care of handicapped kids at a day camp. It was so rewarding. I loved it. I love that. I really do. I love that. That's absolutely beautiful, Miss V. I love that. But Zenwen said, I get into lyrics and the passion behind the song so much more than the background. I love any kind of music that moves me. I'll be honest, his rap music moves me, and I'm not a fan of rap. I really am not. But his lyrics are so powerful. My 19-year-old boy makes 1,000 in 2 weeks at Taco Bell. I made 500 every 2 weeks. The people who are working are getting paid. Cedar's doing well. Cedar's making a living. The vast majority of kids aren't even trying to get work. I put some of his music on a Facebook group page. Yeah, I like it. I really do. I like the stuff. Check out Dax, his song Alcohol. I will do that, Mitchell. I absolutely will do that. But people, do you understand why this is becoming a passion? Do you understand we are to a point now where I absolutely want to work on helping everybody get sober. I really do. And you can reach out to me and I will work with you one-on-one and I will do whatever I can to help you get sober. But we need to understand that currently the powers that be are allowing drugs to destroy the fabric of this country. They are allowing propaganda to come in and destroy everything that we have believed in and everything that we have built as a country. When you go to the Grammys and people go, oh, come on, he was joking. When you go to the Grammys and you want to talk about Satan and the people say, hey, we're willing to worship. The people that put the Grammys on said, hey, we're here to worship. If you find that funny, you're an ass. For real. You see, when people make jokes like that and you go, come on, man, it's tongue-in-cheek. You think it's tongue-in-cheek to a 14-year-old? You think a 13-year-old gets that nuance? They don't. That's not how it works. And rock and roll is not about 55-year-olds. Rock and roll isn't about 45-year-olds or 35-year-olds. No, rock and roll is about teenagers. And we are pumping our kids full of stuff that needs to stop. And the beautiful thing is, we're not a big group of people. We're not. But we're a smart group of people. We're a group of people that have been there and done that. And I'm going to ask you to sign some petitions. I'm going to ask you to post those petitions every single place you can. And we're going to get thousands and thousands of signatures. And if we can get to 100,000 signatures, then we can force every politician in the United States to listen to us. And I believe we can make that happen. I believe we can make that happen. You understand what we really have going for us is that the idiot partiers are going to go, decriminalize, man, you can't beat that. That's where we start. That's where we start. Because decriminalizing this stuff is going to make it so that they can't hide it. It can't sit in the ether. It's going to be out in front. And we're going to put those dirtbag, scum-loving people south of the border, the cartels, who I've got a couple of fingers I'd like to wave in their direction, which I won't do on the boat because I believe that that we're better than that. But we're going to put a hurt in the cartels. If we start making this stuff in the U.S., then none of that stuff coming across the border is going to get any traction. Nobody is going to go buy fentanyl if they could get alpha fentanyl. Nobody is going to buy fentanyl if they could get Dilaudid. Seriously, the people who go, whoa, fentanyl's so much stronger. Let me tell you a little something about fentanyl from a junkie standpoint. Fentanyl goes like this. Straight up, straight down. It's the reason that people shoot it 7 times a day. You understand? 7 times a day, 6 times a day. No one wants to do that. They would much rather have a drug with a little bit of legs. And if we were doing it pharmaceutically, if we were giving this stuff out to people that needed it, you know what they would do? They'd go to work. Think I'm kidding? These people don't not go to work because they're stoned, because people addicted to opiates don't get stoned. They really don't. They get well. They don't go to work because it takes all damn day to get the dope. You got to steal enough money to go get it. Then you got to wait in parking lots for it to be delivered. Story time with Uncle Bill. I hope you're having a good day too. And I know that I sound like I'm just railing, but you know what, people? Someone's got to rail. Someone's got to. And it's not going to be an everyday thing here. I promise you it's not. But it's going to be a lot more of it on Rumble. It's going to be a lot more of it on Rumble because I'm going to use the names of these countries and I'm going to use the names of the idiots. I have been told in no uncertain terms that they're not going to censor me a lick. They're going to let me say what needs to be said. And I want to tell you something, people. You let me drop names and I will be hell on wheels. I'm not bragging. You know what? Screw that. I'm bragging. Give me an opportunity to do a presentation where I can say what needs to be said, and you watch. We will get people that will listen. So to all of you that went over to Rumble and signed up, you need a certain amount to be able to broadcast and do all of that. And I believe we've hit that number. If we haven't, we're that close. So to all of you that went over to Rumble and signed up for the lifeboat, I love you. I really do. I love you. We're going to build Rumble into a platform. It's not going to be an everyday video, but when I do videos over there, people, the gloves are coming off because it is a free speech platform. And I absolutely have every intention of getting ugly. Mitchell says, heck yeah, Tommy Uncensored. You know what? Not a bad name for the program. Tommy Uncensored. We're taking the gloves off. When I said, let's get ready to rumble, I wasn't just referring to the platform. This means war, people. This means war. And it's personal as hell to me. And I have every intention of taking it seriously. Keep bragging, Captain. Ultra MAGA, that is too kind. It really is. Thank you. That's a lot of money, man. I really appreciate that. People, don't ever do that if it's going to put you in a pinch. Please, please. Don't ever do that if it's going to put you in a pinch. But you're a rock star, man. I appreciate that. I really do. Call Tucker Carlson and Russell Brand. If I could get on with either of them, I would. Let me tell you something about Russell Brand. I thought Russell Brand was one of the biggest dirtbags that ever lived. I didn't enjoy him as an actor. I didn't enjoy him as a person. If you have not seen Russell Brand 2.0, Russell Brand is awesome. What he is doing for the sobriety community is 500 times more effective than what I'm doing. He has a name, he has an audience, and he is really, really using it to make the earth a better place. And for that, you got to take your hat off. I am absolutely impressed with Russell Brand. And I'll be honest, I listen to the guy. I enjoy it. I have a very good time listening to Russell Brand. Miss Dragon, thank you for what you do. Miss Dragon is a soldier in this, and she's been penalized for it. She has, but she hasn't stopped the fight. And I think that that's really huge. I'm lucky to be making good money right now, so it's no problem. You have a lot going on, useful info, and it's worth it. Ultra Mag means a lot to me, man. It really does. Thank you. It means an awful lot. Cemetery 76 says goodbye. Goodbye, my brother. I hope to see you in less than 7 years, since he does like to say that from time to time. Gotta go. Johnny, do what you do. Hopefully I will catch a little of that. People, I love this boat. I'm going to keep doing what we do. I'm going to be doing it on the new platform, and we're going to do some exciting stuff on it. We really are. I hope most of you catch it. The gloves are coming off. It's going to be Tommy Uncensored in a very big way because they're not going to stop me from saying what needs to be said. The truth is going to come out, and it's going to come out ugly. And I'm very much looking forward to that. Brant doesn't mince words. No, he doesn't ever. And I respect that. I really do. Leisure. Love the new haircut, by the way, bud. You look great. Speaking of which, cultivate kindness. I like the new do as well. So I'm going to be back tomorrow morning at 5, people. I'm going to try to get some sleep between now and then. Last night was a little tough because I had to let somebody go on the boat, and I didn't enjoy it. For those of you who don't know who that person is, good. I don't intend to bring it up. But for those of you who have come across him telling you things about me, If you believe the things that are being said about me, then you don't know who I am, and you've probably not been here long. What was nice was the literally 14 emails from people who said, I knew it was coming. The comments that the guy left, it was really obvious what was going on, and I knew what was coming. Means a lot to me, because I'll tell you something. I don't do things like that lightly. I can't stand it. Sunshine Girl says, I will share and share and share and share. It's the best thing you can do for us, people. The best thing you can do is share these videos. The big red button's going to bury them. So share these videos. You're all good, Tommy. It's obvious. Thank you so much, man. That means a lot to me, Mitchell. You know what? Mitchell doesn't mince words either. He's been here a long time, and I am absolutely a fan. I'm glad that you're here. M. Hunt, keep doing what you're doing, brother. I'm proud of you. Franklin, proud of you. Facebook and Truth Social. I'm going to look into Truth Social as well. I'm going to be looking into every single platform out there. Of that, you have my word. And now I am going to go and eat. People, I will see you tomorrow at 5 a.m. I'm proud of every single person on this boat. I mean that. Special shout out to my son, day 21. Spanx Calhoun, you're killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. And this wretched little animal, give him a look. That is a cat in a basket. She's having no part of it. Good night, everybody. I love you, and that is the gospel truth. Let's see if we can do this one right. Always scares me. I'm not going to lie to you. It always scares me. All right? We'll see you at 5 a.m., people. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. Keep doing what you're doing. God bless. And bye-bye.